Good morning. First of all, hi Deb. You snuck in a hello before the opening credits even finished. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a tea box, okay, and it's going to be inspired by vintage seed packets. So this is kind of going to link into Monday as well, which has a gardening theme. So what I've done is I have created a template from Template Maker, exported that to an SVG rather than a perforated SVG, then taken that into Canvas, and I've set all the score lines to just perforate. That's just because it's easier for this particular project. So I'm hoping you can see that. So we've used like the finest perforation so that we should be okay. Morning Carol, morning Thea. Sorry it's windy where you are. Okay, so I've pulled out some stamps from Chocolate Baroque that we're going to be using, and I will post a link in the group after the hour. So I'm planning on this being a two-parter. So if there's anything that you want to ask questions about where I got the file or anything, please do ask and I can show you. But I thought it'd be really nice to try and do something a little bit different. So what I'd like to do is actually do some panels to go onto our box first of all. And the easiest way to do that is to have some kind of masking. So it could be that you're going to cut yourself a stencil out miler, which was what my original plan was, but my miler has gone porkies again. Every time I go to use it, I swear it goes, no, I'm going to go and hide somewhere. So I have got some masking tissue. So I'm going to see if the ScanNCut can cope with it, but we will try. So, for those of you that want the measurements for this box, you are going to need a box measuring, and if you want to use Template Maker, I'll even tell you which template to use. It's the Card Box on Template Maker, and the size is in millimeters. So we have a length of 70, a width of 31, so that's your 70, that's your 31, and then a height of 80. Okay, and if I pop my tea bag on top, you're going to see that at the moment it's going to fit nicely inside there. Okay, so that's the way to check. Now, in terms of other dimensions and parameters you can have on their site, the thumb hole diameter is 20, the tuck flap size is 20, the glue flap size is 15, and the angle is 80. And the material thickness I've got set to 0.5, which is their default figure anyway. And so long as you do all that, you can fit it onto an A4 landscape. So you don't need 12 by 12 card for this one. Oh no, is it freezing again? I'm not getting any notifications this end. Okay, so for the tea bag itself, I've got like a little bag template that I'm going to be using to put my little tea bags in. So on the Template Maker site, you choose the bag template, and you have the length of 60, the width of 10, the height of 75 with a fold of 10, and hopefully you should have something that comes out the same size as this. Okay, now what I will say is it does kind of adapt the template if you do get any of your measurements wrong, or if you give anything that's impossible to do. So don't worry if it looks slightly differently to what you put in. Chances are it's just that it's trying to calibrate it so that it's going to make it possible to do. So, oh, Carol's froze. Oh dear, that's a shame. So I've so far cut 3 of and one of the box. Now it may be that I end up doing a few more to fill my box, but I thought 3 was a good kind of starting point. So let's get the masking tissue. Okay. Now this could be interesting because the masking tissue comes with a plastic backing. Okay. So if I do that, you can just about see when the light hits it. So it's very slightly wider than the tissue itself. So that might be something that you might want to bear in mind in terms of how you mount this onto your mat. And I'm going to use the vinyl blade first of all to give it a go and see if it can do it without having to use the manual blade. So I'm going to press that down. Now because this is masking tissue, the last thing we want to do really is put any masking tape on top of this, because otherwise what we could potentially do is pull that up instead of leaving ourselves with a nice mask. So the way around that is, if you think you need something extra to hold it on, you know that the plastic extends past your tissue, so we can just use that excess plastic just to attach it to the mat. Now typically with a half cut you can get away with more anyway. Oh, Chloe, you're funny. Okay. So with that done, let's, now fingers crossed I haven't yet come. There we go. Let's load that in. Okay. So with that loaded onto our mat, we're going to want to decide on some basic shapes. Have your box cut ready so that you can kind of have a template to work to. So if I want to have a nice border all the way around, probably want to have a width of about 60 millimeters. So for starters, let's go to our basic shapes. And I'm thinking something that has a nice arch to the top, but it might be that we have to kind of fiddle to get this right shape for what I'm thinking. So something like that one would work well, but I'll keep going in case there's anything better. There, let's go for this one. So BA A141, and we know that we just want it to 60, so we can size that down. Okay, and that's going to give us a height of 62, so just do a very quick check just to make sure that that's not going to interfere with any of the working parts of your box, particularly the thumb hole. Should just miss it, but if you want to put in some text or something, then you might want to just reduce that height slightly. So let's show you how to do that. Okay, so if we were to use our ratio button at this point and shrink down that height, or in this case the width because it's on the side at the moment, then all you're going to do is kind of compress that top curve, which isn't what we want to do. We want to keep that curve nice. So I'm going to add that to my map for now. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it so it's up the right way. Otherwise it's just going to get confusing. So 90-degree turn to the right, so we've got our curve bit at the top. I'm going to go OK. I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to go to add, pattern, into our basic shapes, and I need a thin rectangle. So BAA022 is our thin rectangle choice. We know the width needs to be 60, not that far, there we go. And at the moment, the height of that is 30, which I think is going to take a little bit too much off. So that would mean that if it was 30, then we would only get the curve about halfway. So it's up to you. If you think that's going to work for you, you can go with that. If not, you can use the ratio button and kind of tweak that. Now I'm thinking that might just work out for me in terms of adding some text later on. So I'm going to go and add that to my mat. I'm going to go to Edit, Multi-Select, Select All, OK. Now we're going to go into Move, Align. We're going to align to the left and align to the bottom. So then we know that those two lines are exactly over the top of each other. Now obviously when we're doing a half cut that's not ideal, but sometimes it's the only way to do it. So I'm going to go OK, OK, Object Edit and Group. So those two shapes are now locked together and we can use them either together or apart. So for instance, on our back panel, we might go, oh, we just want that larger area. On our front panel, we can go, okay, we just want that half. And it might be that when it comes to like the side of the box, you might find that that rectangle will fit in there for masking and things. So always useful. Okay. Now, sometimes you're going to want the innie and the outie of your stencil. So I'm just going to move that so it's an inch in and an inch down. I'm going to go OK. And then, come on brain, again, there we go, add, pattern, basic shape, and just bring in a square. I'm not even worried about the size at this point. And it's going to bring it into the right of your shapes, but we want it over the top. Okay, so I'm not bothered about the outside edge, just as long as there's enough of an area to be able to either stamp or get a blending brush in there. And ideally have it so that it's centered. So to center it, we can go into multi-select again, select all, OK, move, align, center and middle. Okay, and again we can group that. And we can move that wherever we need to on our mat for our masking. And at this point you might decide that, you know, if you've stamped a few of your images ready for masking at a later point, you could cut those out using direct cut and so on and so forth. So let's see how we're going to do with cutting this. So my pressure at the moment is on -7, which is pretty light for the vinyl blade. But because I'm going to half cut, you need to set the half cut pressure instead. So I'm going to go to cut, into the settings, down the screen, turn on the half cut, and then underneath you've got cut pressure, and at the moment that's on auto. So typically when I'm cutting vinyl, I will leave it on auto. It's absolutely fine. But as this is so much thinner than vinyl would be, I'm going to try and take that down a little bit more. So let's go down a few. So all the way down to -4 at this point. I'm going to go OK, and let's see how that goes. Oh, one more thing before I do. I'm just going to reduce my speed as well. So that's important. Whenever you're cutting something that is fine or delicate, reduce that speed so that it's not snagging or pulling. And let's give it a go. So have you all seen the sneak peek of the mugs? They do look cool. Particularly the February one because it's huge. Okay, just doing that cut around the outside. Now the other benefit doing that outer edge of your cut is that we can also check that it's all cut perfectly. Now, the trick here is to actually see where the cut line is. Because sometimes it's really tricky to see. I might just need another go over. I think -4 was just a bit too light. So let's go again. I'm going to take our pressure up a bit. So it's going to remember the last setting, so I can go into settings, down to the half cut pressure, and I'm going to put that up to -2. Start again. I have something really exciting that I'm going to be hopefully introducing you to next week as well. We were trying to get it done for this week, but I just wasn't well enough yesterday, which is a bit fun. That sounds a bit more like it's cutting. Ooh, that's like nails on a blackboard. Okay. So, given that that sounded so much more, I'm not sure if I've got them. That's very weird. Definitely heard it cut, but I can't feel it. Let's just see if we can pull this up. Come on, you got to cut now. Seriously? Nope. Okay. One last go then. I just want to make sure that we have a mask. Let's leave it on auto and see what it does. If it pulls it off, then okay. Just realised I'm not sure if the YouTube chat's working. I tried to think this stuff is indestructible. Oh, there we go. There we go, we should be alright. If not, I'll use it and try again. But we should be alright. Come on. It's definitely not wanting to peel this one. done a very good job of sticking itself back together. But look at that. Come on. Don't tear on me now. Oh, it's doing so well at that point. Come on. Okay, so this is no last fails. So we have our innie and outie. I'm just going to very carefully pull the two away from each other. There we go. The backing on this reminds me of like Zones. There we go. So we have our outie template. I'm just going to pop that down onto my glass for a minute. And then we have our two little shapes. So I'm going to start off on changing camera, our front panel here for today. Heal up my half arc shape, and I'm going to pop that right at the bottom. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a border around my shape. Okay, now this is where you're going to want a background stamp of some variety. So I'm using one of the year stamps. And what I want to do is just kind of have a tone on tone. So if you've cut this out of green, then you would use a green. Hi Dan, and thanks for letting me know about the YouTube chat. That's okay, Louise. How's my head? It's still weird. I think it's the way I want to put it. At least it's not the all-out pounding that I had yesterday, but yeah, it's not right. So let's load up our tea box. Now, because I want to do some background stamping, what I'm going to do is keep my magnets down towards this end, but I can use one just to hold my sticky mat. So if you're wondering what I've got underneath here, it's just an old cutting mat. So it could be an old silhouette cutting mat, could be an old ScanNCut one, take your pick. And because it's got a grid, I think it's quite useful to have in there anyway to line stuff up. But it's also good for when we're working on die cut shapes that we want to stamp. So let's get my background stamp. I'm going to line this up. Now, bear in mind where your fold lines are. Okay, the area that you really want to cover is this strip along here, but I want to stop before I get to this back panel. So if I line up my stamp so it's very slightly over that score line, should be right, and down a bit there, because our little glue tabs at the top don't really matter. Okay, so I'm just using my grid to try and make sure that that's all level. Of course, this is assuming that the border of your stamp's level as well, which if you've hand cut it isn't always the case. Now, if I lower this down, we can see it's having a bit of an issue down this edge here. So, in which case, let's flip it round. But remember to rotate your stamp as well, because there's nothing like going to all this trouble, doing the stamping, and then realising that you've got it upside down. Next thing is, if you have to do this so that you have to have your end that you want to stamp right against, let's see if I can move that back a bit more on screen, there we go, right against the guide here, then actually move it over just like a half centimetre. And again, I'm trying to use my grid to line it with a bit. It's still looking a bit wonky donkey, but we'll get there. Okay. Probably just my eyes. But the reason that we do that is our stamp doesn't go edge to edge. So we want to try and get it as close to this edge as possible. Top of our box, top of our stamp, flip it over, and then this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky because of this fold. So I'm going to slide my grid along. I'm going to try and line that up. Now my head is probably going to get in the way at some point, so I do apologise. There we go. So now that I've done that, I can apply my magnets where I need to. So a couple there. Open over the top. Make sure that your stamping platform is on the rubber side. If yours has the option, I'm just going to press that down well so we get a good transfer of our stamp. And let's pick a colour. So as I was saying, if you're working on green card, you could use a green ink or Versamark. If you're working on pink card, then go for a deeper pink ink pad. Me, I'm going to go for, see, I think purple's going to be too strong for what we want. So I'm going to start off with a pink. If I change my mind, almost probably different all that. Okay. Up and over we go. And press that down. So for those of you that are late joining us, the templates that I've used I've created on the Template Maker website, and then just convert all the fold lines to the finest perforation you've got on canvas. Okay, gonna need a little bit more ink on that and a bit more oomph. That's what I get for trying to do it down. Okay, just move that magnet. Okay, up we go. Ding, ding. Sorry, just knocked the camera. Okay, so we've got a bit of a ghosting around our masking, so you just really want to press down in that area. Try and work on a flat surface always helps. And ta-da! Now if you get a little bit on your mat, just clean that up before you do any more stamping on there. But you can see that we've got most of our area covered that we wanted, and it's up the right way. And then what we'll do with our text is we can actually overlay that over the top with some vinyl. Okay, so one down. Now, we didn't do too bad, we almost made it to the fold. But what I want to do before I go too much further is just quickly clean that. So, this isn't going to pull off all the ink, but at least it'll stop it kind of transferring to your card. And don't put your fingers in it. too. Told you, it's, yeah, head's still a bit woo. But lots to do today, so okay, so crack on, we'll get there. So now I want to do this side of my box, and I'll move that over there. Now, to do that, we've had to do a 180 with our box, so that means our stamp needs to rotate too. So I'm just going to put these magnets here and here, and just very quickly, just going to clean my stamp. Ready to pick that up in a minute, so, and I'm just going to peel away our mask, and I want the other little piece as well, so peel that off your glass mat. Okay, so I'm going to apply my rectangle first. So you want even amount of border on all three sides. Like so, press that down. Then I can use this one on top. And line that up. Okay. So we can do a smaller bit of text here. And this is going to be the back of the box. So, top to top. Now we want to cover our top flap here and this section here, so our stamp can stay right at the top, and we can line it up like so. Now, because we've got that flap, we're okay to go there, but if you didn't have that flap section, you just want to make sure that you just nudge it down a little bit. Oh dear, oopsie, that sounds expensive. Okay, I'm just going to move that one magnet there because that could just be potentially in the way and a bit of an issue. And pick that up. More of the same ink, so it all tones in nicely. Okay. Not bad. Let's just give our stamp mat another clean quick. And our stamp. So I do like rubber stamps for how easy they are to keep clean as opposed to the clear stamps. With clear stamps you always have to worry about what you're putting on to clean them up with. Rubber stamps are a lot more forgiving. A bit more awkward to kind of align, as you can see here, but okay. So let's get my backing, and I'm going to put my stamp book on its backing for now, because we've done everything that we want to with our big stamp. So now I'm just going to peel away our masking. Now if you wanted to trace around this to give yourself a little bit of border, you could do, but I'm going to take my outie mask next. And then what I'm thinking is, if I get most of the stamping done today, then we can concentrate on colouring next week and the vinyl cutting. So I'm going to place my mask on like so. And I'm just lightly pressing it down, I'm not forcing it. Slowly you'll get it where it has no wrinkles. Okay. So for these focal images, what we can do is go, instead of doing a nice soft pink, we can go, actually this is when you want to either bring out your chocolate ink pad or a nice black one. Smoky grey is not really going to cut it, so we have either espresso truffle or tuxedo black would be a good option. So given that I'm going vintage, I'm going to stick with chocolate, and let's pick a nice image. So for this back panel, we've got quite a big area, so it's a lot more fun to kind of go with the feature stamps for that one. So this image here has a little birdie sitting in a little flower bush. So let's get that on there, and we can do some nice watercolour pencil colouring with that next week. So let's try that again, because that wasn't the right way around. So top that way. There we go. Don't try and do just stand right back, it's never good. Good. So with the mementos, they're quite juicy anyway, so but they're good for picking up detail, and they also don't mind a bit of alcohol colouring. Oh, it is annoying when it chucks you out like that. There we go, so we've got a little birdie. Now, before you get tempted to remove this mask, this is your opportunity to kind of do a little bit of background blending. So this is the only colouring that you're really going to see me do today. And all you need is a little blending brush. And you want to go for something that kind of tones in nicely with the inks that you've used. So I'm just going to go for some antique linen. And I'm So other options you could have gone for, like a nice smoky blue colour. Speckled egg would be good if you want to stick with distressed colours. But basically this ink blending creates the border of the panel for you, and then at a late point, if you want to go around and just trace that so that you add a bit of a contrast, you can do. And if it's really strong, what you can do is get your ScanNCut to do it for you with the foil quill, so that you've got a bit of foiling. So you'll notice I haven't made any of the folds yet at all, and that's because we want to make sure that we do all our stamping and anything like foiling or drawing first. Okay, so that's the first panel. So now I'm going to rotate this round. Let's work on this little panel down the bottom. Now, because of our masking, I'm just going to pull that up just a little bit. Now this one's going to be a little harder for you to line up. Okay, so just take your time. Try and follow your curve as much as possible. Okay. And then we have our panel here. So grab your little rectangular panel, and we'll just do that. Okay, now if it looks a bit wonky donkey, just straighten it a bit, because everything we're going to be concentrating on is in this window here. Okay, so looking good so far. And if you want to do it the other way around, so that you have a nice crisp image on the front, we can do our blending first. What I would say is try and coordinate your colours so that if you use the blue on the back, use the blue on the front. If you use antique linen, then use antique linen. Now when it comes to distressing the actual outside of the box, we'll do that after we've done all our folds, so that we can actually go along the folds as well. Okay, so clean the stamp. Like so. And let's go for something that's going to fit nicely in that panel. So you want something that can have the width without having too much detail, and I think that one would work quite well because it kind of mimics that curve there. So flip that over, pop that down. Now when you ink up, you really need to ink up that top section. It's not throwing up any issues for me at all in the streaming software. It's really weird that you're having these freezing issues. Is it working okay on YouTube, those of you that were watching on YouTube? Are you having any glitches? Okay, so I'm just going to press a little bit more just to try and get out that detail. There we go. So now, I'm going to peel that away. We can see where the edge of our arch is going to be. And we can always then apply more colour if we need to. So if you go back and think, oh, actually, can't quite see that edge enough. And let's turn this around the right way so you can see where we're going. That's okay, Thea. So we have the front of our box, which is this panel here, the back of our box, and then we can follow that through to our little tea bag inserts. So let's just go and get one of those. So these come out looking like they are just a rectangle, but if you look really closely, you can just about see the score lines. So I'm going to pop that. So it is literally a good 1.25 inches down from the top. Now, this is the bottom. So long as your background stamp is the right way up, so to speak, then it doesn't really matter which is the front and which is the back. Okay, so you can see it's going to pretty much cover that, so you just need to decide which bit of the stamp you want to use. Thanks, Deb. Also, Deb, while you're on YouTube, you can act as moderator because I can see you've got a little moderator symbol. So if it looks a bit different to normal, that's why. So I'm just going to line that up. So I'm just offering the stamp up and going, which bit do I want? Do I want the more solid bit down the bottom, which is going to give us a stronger colour, or we can go up towards the top and have more of these circle details? So I'm going to go there. Okay. And pick up. So now, before we go too much further, we can go, okay, so I've got my tea bag little wallet here. So do I want to use just a rectangle, which I could do, like so. I could use the rounded one, like so. So don't think you have to keep those in their original orientation. If you want to rotate them around, you can do. Let's just sort out that corner there, it's just pulled up a little bit. There we go. Smooth that down. And we're going to go back to our pink ink. So the actual colour is called Sunburn. I'm a bit worried if you're this colour when you're sunburned. That's past crispy. Okay. Okay. So we've got a little bit that goes off the end, but that doesn't matter too much because that's just going to add a bit more interest. So before I move that away, we've got our stamped image, and I'm just going to get my little blending brush and let's open my squid ink. So the squid ink is a hybrid ink, so it's kind of got a bit of the properties of both pigment and dye. So I'm just going to work in little circles around the outside of my masking panel. This is going to give us a slightly different look to the outside of our box. But if you wanted to go back and do this on the front of your box too, you can do. And we do the same on this side, because this one little envelope and it all folds up. Like so. Oh, careful it doesn't fall up. If you're going to be doing a lot of these little envelopes, what I'd say is actually cut a few of those masking pieces. But you can reuse them quite a few times, but if you find that they're starting to pull up a little bit, there we go. So we can remove that and remove this one. Okay. And we have our little panel into which we can put our illustration. Freezing on here too, but it only freezes for a second or two, but it's doing it fairly often. Oh goody! I get to complain about the internet connection then. Because let's have a look. Stream quality is good, but it dropped the connection 11 minutes ago and 16 minutes ago. How is that good then? Right. So let's quickly clean the stamp. And what I'm going to do is let's peel away that one for now, and we'll come back to that in a bit. Let's grab another one. Okay. So my stamp comes to about there, so if I bring that there, let's have a look. If I take that up and over, a little bit more this way. Yeah, because this side I've got a glue tab anyway, so I don't mind if it doesn't quite cover that. It's not quite level, that. There we go. And this time I'm going to change ink colour, and I'm going to go to same ink range but different colour. So I'm going to go Sea Anemone, which is a nice purpley colour. Okay. Then over we go. You may have not quite got all of that. nice fading out at the top. So, and that's a different style again. So with that one, I can just peel that one off, set that one to one side. Get the cloth. These them again, so a bit of clean. What I will do is get a baby wipe on my mat in a moment, just to kind of get rid of that ink colour. Okay, so one last little pocket for now, and let's bring in our outie for something totally different. So let's just lines on this edge here. Okay, and it's a little bit too wide, so let's go this way. Move that in a bit. Now I'm going to take my little curved section, pop that in the top. So we've just got our rectangle there, a little bit twisted, so let's just move that around a little bit. There we go. So with that done, I'm going to use some of that background stamp, but this time I'm going to try and use it as more of a watermark. So let's get my antique linen, and I'm going to go to the oxide, and it's this section here. So sometimes I'll do that where I'm just like trying to do just a section and kind of sweep it up from where I'm actually aiming. We'll see how that goes. We might have to go a little bit further. Let's just do a little bit more thing right at the top. Okay, hedge my bets. Yeah, it's a garden themed card, and we each have a set of garden themed stamps. That's kind of the starting point. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit more pressure around the outside, just to get right into those corners. Okay, now again we're going to go back to our antique linen distress ink rather than oxide, and I'm just going to blend that around the edges. Peel that away. Peel that one away. Not looking too bad, eh? So we've got our score line goes just about there. So we've got a little bit border at the bottom, a bit bigger of a border at the top, and then we've got the rest of that to do something else with. So, as we are now approaching 12 o'clock, let's do a quick recap so far. So let me just clean my stamp very quickly so I can move the platform out of the way. Okay, so we have our first layer for our outside box, colouring that next week. We have our first little tea bag pocket, our second little tea bag pocket, and our third. So it may be that we can squeeze in another couple, but I just wanted to just edge my bets and go for 3, and that kind of limits the amount of time as well. So what I want to see, if you want to join in, is a pocket that's masked in terms of having these white panels. One where you've gone all over the top, and one where we've got a window, so like this. In terms of your box, we've got our 2 windows and some nice tone on tone stamping. So I've done my tone on tone much darker than what you're going to do it, just so that you can see it. So if ever you're looking for the chat's at the top of the window. I'm going to point that way because that's the way it's showing me. So if it's only on this side, then you know that, yeah, what I see isn't necessarily what you're getting. Okay. So far so good. So if you want to clarify any of the dimensions with me, I'm quite happy to do that. I will post up a link for template maker and the stamps and the masking tissue. So have fun, take care for now, and I will be seeing you all on Monday with Deb. So that is going to be a really fun stream. It's going to look very, very different to what you see at the moment, just so you know. So if you go on it and you think, oh, that doesn't look like them, yeah, it has to be done through totally different software, and it's not going to have the same kind of presentation at all. I mean, you won't see the chat for starters. That is going. The other thing that we might struggle to put on there is the 10% off, so don't forget to use it while you have it. And Monday I will also try and squeeze in a little section on the magazine and also the affinity course as well. So that's going to be launching next week, and towards the end of next week I have something really exciting to show you that I've been working on the quiet. So yeah, that's going to be going on, and then there can be something else really exciting in March too. Yay! So take care for now. See you Monday at 11 AM. That's the other thing, it's a different time, 11 AM Monday, not 7 PM stop. So see you Monday morning. Bye.